us another day. We two scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old place, taking off without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Jeez. Hey guys, it's take the hat off, man. Hey guys, it's old man G here, back again with another disappointing reaction. Manchester United 1, Nottingham Forest 2. Before we get into it, if you are new to the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio, follow us on Twitter and smash the notification button, etc., etc. Check out the second channel, Red Marvel, as well, guys. I'm posting more on them because, quite frankly, covering Manchester United this season is a hella depressing right now. It's a hella depressing, and I don't know what to do with this club. It's just 2 steps forward, 3 steps forward, 1 step back with this accursed team. We were awful today. There's no shortage about it. Obviously, Rasmus was ill. I am generally. I know people want to blame the injuries, you know. So I see Ford. I see in the background. I'll bring you in a second. I just want to just cook for a little bit. I generally don't really understand what I don't understand this club, this team. I really don't. 1 minute you're beating Villa, although the first half we weren't great, and then the next minute you're putting on disaster classes like that. Nottingham Forest were okay, but they weren't amazing. Just like West Ham, when we lost to West Ham, lost to Bournemouth, these teams weren't great. They just were clinical fundamentally, and I think that's the sum of Manchester United seen, is that we lack the attacking strength to do much of anything reasonably good. You know, you look at the front three today: Garnacho, Rashford, Anthony. Anthony, for me, I'm questioning whether the dude is a professional footballer at this rate. Awful. And when Ahmad came on, he did more than Anthony did in the entire 44 minutes. It's simple as that, really. And I mean, actually, David T. So I've seen him. David T's right. I'm not good at performance. We've seen this before. I'm just happy because a part of the inner sport was there. Yeah, exactly. Like the way I sort of see it with United right now, especially with Ineos now, obviously with the whole thing being confirmed, is that literally only 2 things happen. Either because they see that and go, well, as I've said in previous streams, Ten Hag is on borrowed time. Like, because now that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is in charge of footballing operations, just like Todd Bowley was at Chelsea, it's like I'm ultimately going to bring my guy in. I'm going to bring my guy in, and you have from now till likely the end of the season to prove that you are the guy. Otherwise, you're going to get sacked. So I hope for Ten Hag's sake that, as he said, when the injuries come back in January, I don't know how this will massively improve the team. Okay, Lisandro comes in. Does he make the defense better? Maybe a little bit. I don't think it makes it massively better. Casemiro comes in. Okay, maybe instead of playing McTominay, you play Casemiro and Manning together. Maybe, although knowing Ten Hag, he'll play Casemiro and McTominay, which will still kill him. the biggest thing for me, if I'm Tanak, is that big up Rob. Sorry, evening G and all in chat. 1 point result for us against a games is now G. Yep, it's not good, bro. It's really not good. The biggest issue for me in this game, and the question mark that I have, was him subbing off McTominay for Mainu. Now I can only hope, only imagine. I mean, look at the stats here: 10-5, we had more possession, but what did we do? They were more clinical at the end of the day. The only thing, and I hope to God it comes out that Mainu was injured. I hope that it comes out that Mainu was injured, because if Mainu isn't injured, that substitution, in my opinion, single-handedly cost us those 3 points. Because McTominay did not come on and play as a holding midfielder. You know, that's it. You know, I at the end of the day, I'm not saying that we would have definitively beaten Nottingham Forest, but what I mean is that what I mean by that was that he was a holding midfielder. Who was the holding midfielder as soon as Mainu came off? Whose responsibility was it to protect the back four? Because McTominay was further forward. So you're relying on Eriksen and Bruno to drop deep. We don't do that. And Eriksen doesn't have legs. And therefore, you see the same goals that we concede again. You know? Only 9 points from 40, which would mean we avoid relegation. Well, I don't think we're going to get relegated. I don't think we're going to get Europe either. We would have lost Mainu. Yeah, but in fairness, I appreciate the second goal was Mainu. That was the mistake. Mainu, like with Mainu. The thing with Mainu is that, like, of course he's going to make mistakes. And that second goal was his fault. But the first goal and many other goals like this season were not his fault. And it also doesn't excuse the fact that aside from McTominay, who's basically been trash, unless he actually scores and dunks on certain teams, our attackers have been awful. Like, they're literally like I'm just looking at, like, even if we concede a goal, because this is the thing about United, is that teams concede goals all the time. Every team concedes goals all the time. But the thing is, it's like, okay, but that's the problem. It's like, but we can't score. So we're hoping and relying that our defense will somehow keep a clean sheet, and that possibly maybe, our attack might take their chances. That's the hope. Liverpool fans don't think, oh, damn, defense, because they know that they're going to concede goals. They know they're going to concede goals because, they concede goals, but they're obviously like, well, and City, well, yeah, okay, we'll concede, but we have the quality in attack, in midfield, to create and score goals. So we're not worried about conceding. We're worried about conceding because we literally have zero attacking threat. And the loss of Højlund today was part of that. So yeah, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back for Manchester United. You've got the next game is Spurs at home. Who's going to turn up? I mean, Spurs are going to be without Son and Basuma. I don't know what's happening with us, because as far as I'm concerned, whether Onana stays or leaves for AFCON makes zero difference. Whether Amrabat stays or leaves for AFCON makes zero difference. As an aside, I don't know where Amrabat was today. Let me just see. Was he on the bench? I don't think so. I'm not sure where Amrabat was. I would have put Amrabat over McTominay every day, even thinking Mabry, Van der Beek, but obviously he's gone. It's this team, man. What can I say? This team of frauds, man. Big up Detroit City, who says, Charles, I feel for United fans. And obviously seeing Ford in the chat, man. Spurs might have Van der Van, Romain was out injured, Saar, Basuma, Son on internationals. Yeah. This will be a weak Spurs side. But do you still trust Manchester United to beat Spurs at home, despite it being a weak Spurs side? You know, especially knowing the fact that he's going to probably play a higher line against Manchester, which would be great for likes of Rashford and Garnacho. Do you trust that we'll get the win? I don't. Even though a win against Spurs would be good from a top 5, because I know we're not getting top 4. United are definitely not getting top 4. The only hope for United getting CL football this season is 5th place. You know, is 5th place and trying to basically just and beat the teams around there and just try and get for 50th place. That's it. This would have been a game for Fred. Should have kept him. Everton would probably given it to him. See, that's when they might make the change. We'll struggle to make Champions League. Great. Let's not even talk about Fred, man. For me, that's one of the sorts of, you know, the Fred is a type that midfielder. If you were gonna bring on a player to that, then Fred would have been the player to bring on. But it is what it is. Big Up Now says, hope you had a good Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone, guys, and good holidays, the season's greetings to people as well. When it comes, shooting and time's up. Players who under the bus. Real talk. Yeah, they are. They're throwing under the bus. They are. Let me bring in Ford, who's been waiting for a while, who's a Chelsea fan but wants to have his say on this whole debacle. So let me just switch to that. Forward, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, my guy. I'm doing well. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. I would ask how you're doing, but I have a pretty good idea on it. So, yeah, let's talk it out, brother, man. Let's talk it out.
So what are your thoughts? Obviously, you know, congrats to Chelsea in the win against Luton. I'll bet if had the game gone a bit longer, I think scary hours might have happened given how Luton were playing. But congratulations on the win. But on to this game. What were your thoughts if you saw them, or just what you saw?
Listen, obviously I did tune into United to watch you guys lose and to sort of like be excited by, again, your demise in a sense. But obviously, again, I'm here to like give a opposition fans analysis and like my thoughts, because again, I might see things a bit differently from a different perspective, not being inside the club in it. And listen, I almost regret watching the game, even though I did get the result I wanted. It just was a terrible game of football to watch, and just the lack of quality on both sides as well. But the lack of quality was just so apparent. And again, Ten Hag, like, it's a real shame seeing what is meant to be like a Dutch manager who brings a certain style of football, should attract a certain style of player. We target certain types of profiles to improve the technical ability of your team. And then you watch United and it's just abysmal. Again, there's no real style of play. There's no patterns. There's no cohesion. There's no fluidity to how you're moving the ball. And like, again, I can sympathize in a sense, right? Because I watch a team on a weekly basis that's quite poor as well, right? Like Chelsea, by no stretch of an imagination, are a very poor team. Even today, we were not great. But I'm watching United and it's like, in reality, you guys should be better because you haven't got a team full of kids, obviously, like Chelsea. Not to make it about Chelsea, but just to give some comparisons, right? But with you guys, you have a lot of experienced players. Like a lot of guys who have been around the block and done things in the game, right? And yes, you have a lot of injuries, of course, so I understand that. But despite that, I look at United, right? And I don't think the technical level of your team is that high in general. But if you look at this team today on paper, Eriksen, Maino, you have Evans and Varane, who can move the ball around pretty decent from the back. You have Delo, who's quite good on the ball. Wan-Bissaka less so, but he's still, again, competent enough, you would imagine. I know he's meant to be a ball-playing goalkeeper, but just your ability to try and play out the back, it was just like, it was very slow, and he would just, again, it would go from Onana, he would hold on to the ball, he would maybe ping it long or whatever, but like there was no actual like there was no patterns in terms of like actually trying to build through, play through. And obviously when you get to the final third, again, as you've obviously been complaining about all season, your attackers don't provide much in terms of any ingenuity. It's all very much off the cuff, a lot of silly turnovers from the likes of Garnacho, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford hardly getting into the game as a striker against a low block, of course, and Anthony, he doesn't offer much on the right wing, so it's not pretty. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dunk on the guy too much, but of course was obviously definitely overpriced, misprofiled, and it's a shame because again, that's a player who was Ten Hag's. Ten Hag literally coached this guy for years. He brings him in and he's looking the shell of his former self, and it's strange to see. So again, watching from the outside, it's like, wow, you guys are in a very bad place. You're in a sunken place. But unlike us, right? This is where it's different, right? Unlike us, we can sack Poch and get a new manager in, and of course, it can be better because Poch has shown a lot of like, again, a lot of things to me that says that he's not good enough, right? But with you guys, this United team last season, it finished third. You do have a lot of components that tell me that, you know what, with a new manager bounce, with just new feeling around the training game, you guys can actually do something this season. You can actually go on a little decent run of form and win games. And I feel like with Ten Hag, it's really looking at the end at this point, and he's just surviving week to week. Again, I feel like that result against Aston Villa saved his job, but it's like, how many times do you need to save your job? Surely, if you're a good enough manager, you don't need to be doing that week on week. So I think it's clear that the writing's on the wall, and it's just a matter of time.
And this is the thing. I mean, you know, it's all about being Sebastian. Sebastian senior back, I'll bring in a second as well. I mean, this is the thing. It's like, according to Ten Hag, you know, from what I read of the post-match reaction, it seems that he's focusing on injuries, which I don't really. I buy to a certain extent, but not to a full extent. You know, does Lisandro come into the defense here? You know, you're relying on a 35-year-old Johnny Evans, who, to be fair to Johnny Evans, has actually been fairly solid. I don't even blame him for that goal. Like, at 35 for his age, like I can't say that he has had major disaster classes. If anything, the last game against Villa, I think he made a block, I think, at home. That
from McGinn.
You know, from McGinn, I think it was, you know. So
yeah.
You know, he's fifth choice centre back because Lindelof, Maguire, Lisandro out, and Varane is kind of like is there, but obviously because injury prone. So he's effectively fifth choice. He's come in and he's done a job, as it were. You know, he's done a job. You know, so I can't blame him. But like as you said, like, there are a lot of these experienced players. Like, I mean, you talk about youngsters, but the reality is United this season are being carried by youngsters. You know, Garnacho isn't 20 yet. Mainu is 18. Even Ahmad, who came on, performed far better than Ante has for I don't know, goodness knows how many games. The best players for United this season have been youngsters. The season, you know, if you were to stop the season and say who would be the top three best players for United this season, it's probably going to be Garnacho, Mainu, and maybe one of the defenders, like you know, I don't know actually which defender would it be? Maybe Dallo, for example. You know, so who's not as senior as some of the players that are on this team. A lot of the senior players, especially the likes of Bruno, Rashford, Shaw, obviously Onana being the keeper, etc., have let this have. I'm just at the point where I don't even know whether these guys actually care, because I looked at Bruno today and I was like, I don't know whether this guy even gives a crap anymore. I really, really, really don't. And and at the end of the day, if they're in a position where they want to throw the manager in the bus, okay, whatever. It is what it is. All I can say is that we obviously don't know what's going to happen with this whole Ineos to Jim thing. The only thing we know is that he's going to be in complete and total charge of football operations. That's what we know. So all the footballing decisions at Manchester United now are going to be all done by Sir Jim and the people that he brings in, or the board that he assembles, whoever that DOF might be, whether that's Paul Mitchell or whoever it is. So as far as I'm concerned, from now to the end of the season, it's a question of, do you deserve to be at the club or not? And if you don't, it's over to Sir Jim to see what he's going to do regarding, you know, their players and who goes and who sells and whether Ten Hag is going to be backed or not.
Yeah, and I think in general, like, new ownerships would like to have their own imprint, and they would like to like stamp their like authority in terms of, okay, this is a new era, and I want a new face. And obviously they're going to be on a new DOF. I don't think you have like a real clear DOF even in place right now. Yeah. And then of course they're going to probably want their own manager. So I feel like with Ten Hag, it's pretty much a ticking time bomb. And we saw it even with my club. We had an established manager in Tuchel who won us a Champions League, but again, our new ownership came in and said, you know what, we want our own guy, and we know how that story went. So
no, exactly.
Yeah, it's an interesting case of you guys. But just one thing I want to touch on as well, like again, in terms of Ten Hag and his comments, because I did watch his post-match interview, and he comes across very disingenuous in terms of like how he explains how the game went, and again saying you guys have control of the game when literally nothing's happening. Again, he said it during the West Ham game that, oh, we have control until they scored. It's like, no, you didn't have control. It's just nothing was really happening. You weren't creating many chances. Maybe you weren't conceding many, but nothing's happening in the game. And again, Ten Hag, like, I get there's been some injuries for sure, but the injury shouldn't change how you play as a football team, like completely, right? Because we've seen it with Tottenham and with Ange, who's done a great job, right? And when they've had all of these injuries, they've still played their football. Yes, players like Emerson Royals will make a mistake at centre back because he's not centre back, right? But in terms of how they actually play football, it's still the same. You can see, oh, you know what? That's an Ange Postecoglou team. When you watch Man United week in, week out, let's say you took the red jerseys off, I couldn't tell you that's Man United. I really couldn't. I couldn't tell you, oh, that's a Ten Hag team. Like, that's a pattern of play that they like to do. I couldn't. So it's mad when he says those kind of things in these press conferences and like makes it all about, oh, players are missing. But despite the fact that players are missing, quote unquote, you've had your attackers for most of the season, other than Martial, who's always injured, right? And again, he's injured now. And obviously, Højlund's missed his first game now for a little while. But you haven't really had many injuries in the attack, other than Sancho, who he chose to gulag, right? So your attack is pretty much there week in, week out, and they're not getting goals. And ultimately, you have to take responsibility of that as the manager because they're all underperforming. They're all underperforming. So again, like I've been saying, the writing is on the wall with Ten Hag. And for you guys, I think you should be happy that it is because an interim manager that comes in will most likely get a good little new manager bounce out of these guys, and maybe you can kick on and try and push those European places.
I don't know. Well, for starters, who would be the interim manager? Obviously, sorry, go on, Smasi. Yes. So I brought in. Yes, Smasi. What are your thoughts? Sorry.
I'm sorry. He needs to be sacked. How can you put someone like McTominay in the same role as Kobe Mainu? They're two different type of players. McTominay is not even close as talented, and he's a ball runner. He has no positional awareness at all. Zero. When you put an SCM, it's a loss waiting to happen. Let's face it. If you let just Manu play, I think you could have with luck won it. Let's face it, because Man United were terrible, but Forrest were also bad. And for the last time, why is nobody tracking the runners in the box? Nobody is.
I've seen it so many times.
Every fucking time you see it at United, the midfield gets overrun, and the runners in the box never get tracked by the defenders. Neither from Dalot or Evans or Wan-Bissaka, all four of them. That the midfield gets overwhelmed because Eriksen is fucking out, Manu is minor, and then the defense doesn't track the run. But if the attack would at least work, then maybe you could win again. But Garnacho is too young, so he's gonna be inconsistent. He was not good today. He was okay. He gave you the assist. Anthony, useless. One of the worst signings, Man United. You had Ole when he didn't signing that bad. He didn't. He's actually what he wanted to buy was actually good. His talent that he is not bad for someone has is not really a manager.
I'm looking at West Ham signing Kudos, and to be honest, I'm even looking at the players that we let go. I'm looking at Elanga. I'm looking at Tahith.
Elanga looks better. Now, with the right manager, with a good manager, you can look better. And Bruno Fernandes, I can't stand Fernandes. I'm sorry. He's a false prophet. That's Fernandes. He looks good with his stats, but he's not really that good. He's a stat merchant. He looks like KDB's with his stats, but isn't. That's what Bruno Fernandes is. Und Ten Hag, you could have prevented his downfall, but he didn't. He needs to be sacked immediately. His choices to who to play, when to play, there is no plan, there is no consistency, there's nothing with him. He should be sacked immediately, get an interim, and the summer, the gym should, first of all, you need the CEO of sports, you need the director, you need a head of recruiting like a Paul Mitchell, and then look at this team. First of all, sell. For the first 3 weeks in the summer transfer, sell all you can. McTominay, Maguire, even Rashford if PSG come from. If PSG want Rashford for 100 million, sell him
They
immediately. I
probably
would
won't
say.
want it for 100. They probably want it for 100 million at this rate. Maybe
Yeah,
before,
PSG are
maybe last
idiots. They're gonna
season.
want him. PSG are idiots. They're gonna sell him for.
I mean, I'll take a Rashford and Mbappe swap, man. I'll take that, you know. So like, I don't think it will happen, but I'll take that. So, well, so let me just quickly read some comments, and then we'll just get to the player ratings. I think. Steve Charles says, "Yep, Ten Hag has only himself to blame for this pathetic session with a stroke, McTominay." I mean, all I can say is that, like, I hope that he did that. If Maynard was injured, then I understand. You know, I still think it was bad, but I can sort of kind of understand if Maynard was injured. If Maynard isn't injured, like I said, I think the dude might have to be sacked in the morning. If that was supposed to be a tactical substitution, then no. Daisy McTominay was bragging about his physique this week. He should have been a fitness coach. David, I still think the players are not sticking to instructions, but if anyone wants him fired, yeah, that's one thing I would say. I don't think that the players are doing what Ten Hag is them to do. I'd agree with that. I don't think they are. I can't imagine that Ten Hag is telling likes of Rashford or Garnacho not to pass. You know, not to pass when there's a free man. Or I can't believe that Ten Hag is not telling McTominay not to track the midfield runners. I can't believe he's not doing that. I can't believe that. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. But I mean,
oh my god.
But I mean, what do you do with Anthony now? Because at the end of the day, no team is going to come in for him or buy him. You know, so what do you do with him? He's on ridiculous wages. So you're either loaning out to a club, I don't know, maybe in Serie A or something like that. You know, you still have to pay most of his wages. You still got a fee. Well, you're just stuck with him. That's the problem, unfortunately. Rashford is the 4 million at most, and that's been begging. Yeah, I mean, after last season, if you told me this time last year, it'd have probably been 70, given that he was on that hot streak of form, scoring tons of goals, etc. Then maybe you could have got 70 million for him. But now with how he's been, yeah, it's 40. It's 40. It's nothing. Right. Let's quickly, and obviously I've got Ford and Smashy here. So let's quickly go to player ratings. I'm going to nab. Shout out to United stand. I'm going to nab their player rating thing for us and just use it and actually see what we pick as comparison to other. So I'll go with you Forward first. How do you think that Anana did today? Do you think, just from your observations? Oh, Forward, you there? I can't hear you. Forward.
Is this mic?
Maybe it's your mic.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, go on. Yeah, go on. You? Forward?
It's either his connection or his mic.
Maybe it's your connection on mic. I'll remove you from the thing Forward and then maybe come back in and come back out again. Right. Samasi. So I'll go over to you, Samasi. Onana.
He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good either. I would say a 5, a 6. 5.5, I would say.
5.5. So 5 or 6. Which one? Which one do you think, Samasi?
I'll give him a 5.
5. Okay.
It was Forrest.
Well, most people seem to give it the dude a 3.9. Okay, fair enough. Glazer says the Glazers got him. He's a Chelsea fan, so I'm not sure if they care. Wan-Bissaka, and obviously let me know your thoughts in the chat as well, guys. Wan-Bissaka, I'll give him a 5. I don't think he was terrible today, but I mean, I love Wan-Bissaka because I love how bring Ford back in, how defensive he is, but at some point, and he has slightly gotten better under Ten Hag. Wan-Bissaka has slightly gotten better going forward. He does put more crosses in. He does transact the ball more. He has slightly gone better with, but is it good enough still? I don't know. Ford, what do you think about Wan-Bissaka?
So you guys can hear me now, yeah?
Yeah, we can hear you now, man. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka, again, not a great performance. He was part of probably your best attack of the whole game. Again, you did a decent little move down the right where he cut it back to Delo for the shot, which hit the post. But again, other than that, again, offensively didn't really offer much. Not great really on the ball in terms of building up from the back either. Again, defensively, I think most of the action really went down the other side. So I'd probably just give him like a 5, if anything. Can't really judge him too harshly based on today, but obviously not great. And for those fans, you want him out. You have more. Yep. Again, this game wasn't the one to say that. Oh, you're wrong about that. It doesn't really look Man United quality, to be honest.
No, I certainly think 5 is a big shout. I mean, average people give him a 4. I think so. Varane. I mean, the goal, the second goal. I still blame McTominay for that second goal. But it was the second goal, was it, when they tried the offside trap?
I think that was the first goal.
It was the first goal, sorry.
Because the first goal actually comes from like Rashford is like off the pitch. I think we was injured, right? So they build the attack. He then comes back on, but you're still sat in like the low block.
Yeah,
and Evans kind of steps and Rand's still kind of playing him on side. So it's kind of just maybe either miscommunication or just positioning. But yeah, go on.
Because the only thing I would say is that with that is that like all the defenders in that line were off and not Varane. So it's a difficult one because I'm kind of like, because if all the other 3 defenders were playing the offside trap and Varane wasn't, then there's clear miscommunication there. But then at the same time, Manchester United don't tend to do that all that often. So maybe Evans was maybe overthinking it too. I don't know. I'll give him a 5 as well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair, to be honest. I mean, he did have one shaky moment like at the start of the game, which when the ball like flashed across the box, that almost led to like an own goal.
What the fuck was he doing?
I'm sure I gave you a heart attacks actually, to be fair on that. Overall, I thought like it wasn't a game where you lot were getting like super peppered, so your defense wasn't really tested like it was, let's say, against Liverpool. He had a couple of decent touches, to be fair, in the game in terms of like playing from the back, but again, it wasn't like you lot were slicing through. Not the first, just a lot of like just kind of languid possession, and then that was kind of pretty much it. But yeah, I think a 5's fair.
Samasi, what do you think about Johnny Evans?
First of all, I would give Rowan a 4 for how good he can be from his level. I would give him 4. Johnny Evans, he's so fucking old. Jesus, he's like something 58. Dude,
he didn't have that bad of a game, though, Samasi.
What?
He didn't have that bad of a game.
For 58-year-old, he and Thiago Silva need to retire ASAP as soon as possible. I'm sorry for what Thiago's also.
I mean, the thing is that like Johnny Evans is not supposed to be starting for. Johnny Evans is not supposed to be. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys.
No worries. I mean, if I can come in on this just to say, listen, I think Johnny Evans has probably been Ten Hag's best signing. Like, for being honest, I think he's actually like overpumped expectations in terms of his performances on the field. And like it's one of them meme signings like, oh my god, you sound like an old guy who used to be at the club 10 years ago. But in reality, he was only meant to be like your 5th choice centre back. So you shouldn't have really been getting any minutes anyways. And when he's played, he's actually been pretty good. A lot better on the board than people probably give him credit for. Obviously a leader. Been decent enough defensively. Maybe today wasn't great, but I think overall he's been good for you guys, isn't it? So yeah, it's hard to be really harsh on somebody like that because he shouldn't really be there. And to be honest, for all your plays, he's actually been keeping a relatively decent level.
This is my point. It's like a lot of these things. It's all about. Sorry, guys. It's all about context. Because you said Johnny Evans was supposed to be 5th choice centre back, and the fact is he's played more games this season than Lisandro, then it looks like Maguire, than Lindelof, etc. And it wasn't expected to. And the fact of the matter is that even when he's played, I can't really. I mean, yeah, maybe he's made one mistake, but this is not this. He's not had like a Maguire disaster class, like if like of 2 or 3 seasons past. Like he's been fairly solid, and his positional sense is not bad, and his ability in ball is also not bad either. You know, so as you said, to be honest, if we're talking about contextual signings, Johnny Evans has probably been this season, considering all the players that Ten Hag signed in the summer, this season, Johnny Evans has been one of the better ones, because Amrabat, he doesn't seem to trust Amrabat that much. Hoyland was obviously ill, but got his first goal. And while I think he technically would improve and he's still young, at the end of the day, he's still struggling in the Premier League. Who else did we even sign? I'm trying to remember now.
My buddy Mason Mount.
Mason Mount. Let's not even go there. Apparently, he's back in training, man. Apparently, I don't know what Mount is going to do to coming back into this team. What exactly he's going to do? Am I missing anybody? We got Mount. Who else? Anana. You know, enough said.
Yep.
That's it. You know, so you could make a key argument that this summer the best signing that Manchester United had this summer was Johnny Evans, and that's
Reguilon, the last one, the loan.
Oh, Reguilon, and Reguilon, you know, his loan finishes in January anyway. So and again, he's even when he's been available, he's barely played. Ten Hag rather prefers to play Dallo at left back than play with Reguilon. You know, so yeah, I mean, for me, Smash fixing the Mac. For me, you know, it is what it is. Tabbo says, I agree with Ford that it's almost comical that he's been their best defender in big 2023. Jordan says, outrageously think Ten Hag should be sacked. Players are not asking more and have thrown too many managers under the bus. To be honest, bro, I don't even I'm not Ten Hag out in terms of I'm demanding the dude to be sacked. But at the end of the day, you also have to be a realist, Josh, and realize that like with the new Ineos ownership, like regardless, his days are numbered anyway. Like I'm not bothered either way, whether he stays or whether he goes. I'm not bothered either way, because at the end of the day, with Ineos in charge, his days are numbered, because they are going to want their guy, and if he continues to perform this way, they are going to make changes. Maybe they might not, but if they're not going to make changes, they'll probably have to give some significant financial backing or whatever. I don't know. But if the Chelsea model is anything to go by, when a new owner comes in, they usually want their guys. And we're hearing about Graham Potter. We're hearing about Graham Potter, man. We're hearing Graham Potter rumors that they might want to put the Manchester back in Manchester United and the English back in England.
God forbid. God forbid.
So we'll see what happens. Although low key, I mean, I'll say this, and maybe Ford might disagree, and I don't know. But to be honest, I actually think that Potter actually did a better job with Chelsea and did it than Pochettino has. The only thing is that with Potter, Chelsea created tons of chances. They just didn't have a striker to score. They didn't have a consistent striker to score. But in terms of chance creation, in terms of where they played, I actually think that Chelsea played much better under Potter. And had they given him an actual striker, you don't know.
So I want to comment on two things. So just on the thing you just said with Potter being better than Poch. In terms of how it started with Potter, and pretty much up until like February, where our form just completely nosedived. I'd agree. I'd agree also that Poch actually has a better team now than what Potter inherited.
Exactly.
And yeah, Potter did relatively well, right? Obviously until we got to a point where we gave him time and he had us literally in relegation form, literally contemplating could we get relegated, right? So obviously he had to go. Yeah. Do I think Potter is still a good coach? I think he is. He just joined the absolute mess. But one problem that Potter has, and it will always be a question mark whether he can manage at the elite level, which again United aspire to be an elite club. They are an elite club.
I think my key thing is if you taken Poch now, if you replace them, so if you put Poch last season with what Potter had, when you didn't have a striker, when you didn't have the likes of Palmer, who's basically been like Chelsea's like best player this season.
Yeah, because Palmer literally is an upgrade massively on Havertz and Mount. Yeah,
exactly. When you didn't have that,
he's good.
Like how I could make a strong case that Pochettino would have got you relegated.
No, listen, I don't disagree with that. I'm not going to sit here and disagree with that, right? Like I don't. Poch doing a terrible job, but again, this isn't the Chelsea show, right? This is the United one, and of course, we're just on the point with you lot with Potter, right? Because obviously people are hinting at Potter. I don't think Potter will go to United, but obviously why I think Potter would struggle at United and what really United need is a manager with really strong character, because one thing that Potter definitely lacked is the character to deal with big egos and deal with the stage that is, again, managing Chelsea, because it was a big stage for him, a big step up from Brighton. And United, again, with all due respect, is a bigger stage than even Chelsea. It's a massive stage. All the pressure is on you. And unlike Chelsea, because at the time he had did we have Lukaku last season? And Lukaku to deal with maybe he's already on loan, but still, okay.
Still, yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's a blur. I tried to pull last season out of my mind, right? But from what I remember, there was still an Aubameyang there and other relatively big names, right? At United, there's Varane, there's Casemiro's Champions League winners. Again, even though I don't rate the guy, he's an absolute scrub. Bruno Fernandes is still a pretty big personality. Rashford personality, like all these other guys. So there's people there to manage, and you need a big manager to do that. And for Potter, I don't think he can do that. So that's where I kind of like, I think he'd be a good fit. And also, just one thing I want to touch on, right, with the previous super chat saying that it's outrageous that any United fan would want Ten Hag sacked. It's definitely not. I think Reggie gave a very balanced answer to that question about whether Ten Hag should go. And obviously, yes, the new ownership will most likely move on from him. But for me, you absolutely need to get rid of him now, because he's making all of your players worse. And the difference between a Ten Hag and an Oli is Oli came in and it was just about vibes. Can he do a thing on the interim? He did very well at the start. You gave him a long-term contract, and obviously it went tits up afterwards, right? But you weren't expecting like a certain style of play with Oli. We're just expecting hopefully vibes, maybe you'll win games, hopefully, right, with the players that you have. But with Ten Hag, he was meant to come in and instill a culture, literally instill a new culture and a brand of football. And he's done neither. And in trying to instill that brand of football and getting certain players, literally all of his money signings have been busts. Anthony bust, Højlund bust. Mount is looking like okay, obviously, like, again, likes of Højlund and Mount, maybe they could turn it around, right? Of course, they're young, they could maybe turn it around, but right now they're not looking like top players. And again, obviously, brought him Alessandro Martinez, right? When you started the season off, and he started with that midfield three of Casemiro, Bruno, Mount, and then this was his plan for the season, right? Because you spend 70 minutes on a midfielder, you give him a number 7, that's your plan. It looked terrible against Wolves. Yes, you won the game, but they had so many chances in transition. And obviously continued on from the games against Tottenham and other games after that, right? Where it's like, what he's trying to implement is not working. You cannot see this Ajax football. He even said himself, I cannot play Ajax football here with these players that you've brought in, and all of them that you've brought in are not looking good.
I still don't know I still don't understand the Mount signing. I don't understand it.
I said it at the time, and it was crazy that you were going to sign him off his worst season and off so many injuries as well, that you would sign him. It was criminal to me. So it's just like, again, for that reason, you look at it, what has Ten Hag done to earn keeping his job? Because forget about the Carabao Cup and getting third place. Look at just this season, right, where you are meant to kick on. What has he done and what has he shown you that makes you think, you know what, he could turn it around, he could be the man for Man United? Because you can't say give him money, because you've already given him money, and so far, every person that he spent big money on, they're not looking good. They're not looking good under him. And that's a fact.
Right, let's quickly move on this player rating. I'll come to the comments in a second, guys. I'm not saying that, that the players, this is not me here saying that the players, of course the players need to, but I'm also a realist. And at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, the reality in football is that the manager is much easier to move on than multiple players, especially at Manchester United, because we hand, under the previous, sports directive management, we hand these players ridiculous contracts. It's like when people say get rid of Sancho. Please tell me how you're going to get rid of Sancho. He's on 300k a week, and he's got 2.5, maybe 3 years left in his contract. How are you going to get rid of that player? Because you want a fee for him, and you want someone, and the player also wants to be compensated for his wages. So who's going to come in? Who's going to pay 300k a week for Sancho and also a fee? Nobody. So either you send him out on loan to some team that will maybe pay half of his wages, not even that, probably a quarter, because most teams can't afford to pay 150k a week to a player. So he's stuck. And as I expected in January, is there any rumors of him going? No, of course there's not. He's stuck. Anthony's stuck. Most Manchester United players stuck because they've been given stupid wages signed for high fees. Even if they were signed for high fees, they were given stupid wages. And the players themselves are quite content to be like, well, yeah, I'm getting paid. Why would I move? Whatever you say about Lukaku.
Sancho's partying right now. Sancho's partying.
He's part exactly. Whatever you say about Lukaku, at least I respect Lukaku. At least Lukaku's like, listen, I want to be the main guy. I'm going to go to a team where I can be the main guy. And he forced the move, even if it meant taking a pay cut. He did that. And to be honest, I'd actually want Lukaku at United right now. It's that bad. I'm like, yeah, I want a striker. I want a number 9. Lukaku, whatever you say, Lukaku still got I don't know, was it at least 15 in his final season for United? It was definitely more than 15 goals in a season. We don't even have a forward that has that. We don't. I know if Lukaku will at least get 10 goals, whatever you say, because we'll be able to bully defenders, etc. And he was the type of guy that's actually good against low blocks because Lukaku would bully low block defenders, as it were. But I don't know. Anyway, move on to player ratings because so Samasi, Dallo. Actually, no, you did Evan. Sorry, forward Dallo.
Probably would give him a 6. I think a lot more came down his side in terms of having to defend. And again, in general, he probably can do more offensively. I don't think he had his best game offensively. Again, not many players really did well in general. So maybe even a 6 is a bit high, but again, he did hit the post. That was a great strike. Again, not a great game from Dalot, but he is one of the few players in United's team. I look at, you know what, you can get a lot more out of this guy. Like if you put him in the right team, he would be balling because I think he's got a lot to his game. Again, he's got a good engine. He can obviously defend on both sides, 2-footed, which is good for a fullback. Technically, he has a good base. Like he's a good player. He's a good player. He's just in a team that's suffering right now. So again, today, I think I probably would give him a 6 just on the fact that he almost got you the go-ahead goal hitting the post.
4.5. Man, these United fans showed no mercy today. No mercy.
I mean, did he really get cooked by elanga like that much? Like, I don't think he did, to be honest.
I don't think so.
He shouldn't be cooked by elanga. Seriously.
You say that, but Elanga's been in good form. Like he's been in really good form.
I still don't think we should have sold him personally. But that's just.
But see, I actually disagree, though. I disagree because again, take it from somebody who also supports a team that's toxic, right? And a bad. Again, just look at someone like Emerson Palmieri at West Ham. He's looking great, but for us, he looked terrible. Like sometimes clubs are so big and it's such a mess that certain players just don't look good there. And I think Elanga was never going to look good at United. He might have been a decent sub option and probably would have given more than Anthony because who wouldn't, right? But he still wouldn't look like what he's looking like now at Forest at United. I just don't think that would have ever happened.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to move on from him, to be honest.
I don't disagree with that. I think it's just that now with what I guess then is with what happened in the summer, you're kind of even today where you're like, where we had a front three looking at the bench and you're like, what attacking option do United have to bring on the bench? Ahmad and Palestri. You know what I mean? So it's almost kind of like, okay, we sold him, but at the end of the day, how much attacking quality did Manchester United really have? They didn't. I mean, in
an ideal world, you would have had obviously Sancho and managers good like that's his own fault, and then obviously Mount as an attacking option as well. Of course, he's injured.
What is Mount doing?
It's one of them.
Is he still injured?
He got re-injured when he came back, and he came back in the cup. He broke his old 007 duck in the cup. I think he got an assist from a corner, and then he got injured straight after, innit? For you lot.
I think United are cursed. The football gods saw them succeed so much they cursed them after Fergie left.
It's what goes on comes on, I guess. Mainu, I mean, like I said, someone needs to explain this. So someone needs to explain the substitution. I don't get it. I'm hoping that I'm hoping he's not injured because actually if he's injured, we're screwed. So I'm hoping that he isn't injured, but the only way I can make sense of substitution is that he was injured because I cannot for life understand if this sub was tactical. For me, he had an okay half, but it was so noticeable when he wasn't there in the second half because he does stuff almost like a Carrick low key. I'm not saying he's on Carrick's level yet. But the point is, he does stuff where you're like, okay, you don't notice it until he's not there. And McTominay, when he came on, McTominay did not play like a holding midfielder. He wasn't in that position. Like at one point towards the end of the game, like McTominay was literally just outside 6-yard box, and Bruno and Eriksen were behind him. He was further forward, and it's like, wait, hang on, you were brought on to be there because Eriksen doesn't have legs. You're the physical specimen. Eriksen doesn't have legs. Bruno doesn't have that discipline really to go back and forth.
I hate him. I hate McTominay so much.
I'll give him a 6, but I don't know. I don't know. Eriksen, what do you think, Samasi?
He had a quiet game. He was not bad, not good. The problem is he cannot play 90 minutes fully because his legs are gone. Let's face it.
Yeah.
So I think I wished you brought another player who can play his role. And then Mainu, maybe you should have bought 2 midfielders in the summer. One for Eriksen, one for Mainu. Where Mainu and him.
We did. We bought 2 midfielders. We bought. Well, we didn't buy, but we bought in Amrabat and Mason Mount.
And Mason Mount to us. That's the problem. You don't buy good players, especially midfielders, since Sir Alex left. That's why Pogba also failed. That's all I'm saying. I would say a 6 for Eriksen.
I think that's been generous.
I probably would have given him a 3 or a 4, to be honest. I don't think he was very good. And obviously with him, like the expectation's a bit higher because again, he is somebody who obviously we know has a good technical base, can ping passes, can break lines. Yes, we know you're not a good athlete, so of course you're getting beat in transition. And again, you were poor defensively. You weren't there to stop the counters and then also be like a presence at the edge of your box to stop like those cutback goals. Because again, I don't watch United as much as you guys, obviously, but I've even noticed that a lot of the goals you lot concede are from cutbacks, and there's literally nobody there. Yeah. And surely, again, the manager and the coach and stuff are going through this on tape study. Like, okay, we need to be positioned ourselves better here. How do we prevent these kind of goals? But again, it didn't happen, and obviously it happened again in that second half. So, again, yeah, a couple of decent little balls. You tried that little corner to Bruno. But again, for somebody of his quality, in a game like that, where okay, you can maybe say he's one of the best passers on the pitch. How can you impact this game? Can you dominate this game? And he didn't do that. So I'll probably give him a 3, to be honest, just based on the fact that he should be doing a lot more.
Sorry, Smash, I've got to agree because I'll give him a 4, man.
I don't. The problem is he played with Max Sauce, and Max Sauce makes everyone just worse than he really is.
Actually, 4 is fine because I think we need to reserve some lower ratings for other players, which we will get to.
Yeah. We'll get to them. That's one of them is coming up right now. Bruno for me.
El Capitan.
I'm giving the man a 3, man. I would say 3. And it looks like the United fan base is fairly consistent there. I don't. There's nothing else to say, really. I don't think. Aside from, I don't know whether he. I don't know whether he cares.
3. You're generous. I would give him 2. 2 for. I swear, I hate Bruno so much. Him, Maxos are my enemies. For football lovers, they're the enemies of the sport. Let's face it.
Preach.
You need to sell both this summer. Him, Anthony Maxos, Martial, all these losers who don't belong or not good enough for Man United and still there.
All I can say is I hope Sir Jim Ratcliffe is looking at, but again, they're finance people as well, and these guys on high wages selling. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen.
United fan clubs that exist around the world need to write an open letter.
Anthony.
Wait. Can I have my say on Bruno, please?
Go on.
Please. Because again, listen, I think I've been good here, right? Like I've tried my best to keep to just be a balanced fan. I'm not, again, honestly, I don't struggle talking about rival teams because again, like I'm a fan of the game, so like I can look at guys objectively, right? except for Bruno, because I genuinely hate the rat. Like, I think he's horrible, and he's the biggest fraud. And I've been saying it from when he joined the club. Because listen, you were getting some penalties and some decent goals here and there. Like the GA was mad in his first season, but as an overall footballer, he's never been at that high level that people are putting him at. Because again, in this great club of Manchester United, right? One of your legends, Gary Neville, said that he had the best impact and he's the best signing you lot have made since Eric Cantona. Again, these are the words of a United legend. And I'm sorry, he has to be held to those standards because Bruno has never been at that level.
Cantona, we signed like Ronaldo since after Eric Cantona. We signed freaking Jaap Stam after Eric Cantona. We signed freaking even Robert van Persie.
It's crazy because again, his words were like, "Oh, he's the best." Like, he knows like the impact and like how much he's raised the level at the team. Bruno's the best signing since Cantona, because obviously Cantona, when he came in, was revolutionary. I'm like, how can you say he was better than the likes of Van Persie? Even Rooney at a young age was game changing for you guys. So many guys, Tevez, like I could go on and on and on. Scholes, even when Scholes came back at an older age and won you the league, like you're saying Bruno's up there. It's criminal. And again, even just to look onto today, right? People call me a hater, but I can just look at his performance today as the captain, right? Again, you've come back into the team and you've got back-to-back since you got a yellow card to miss Anfield, right? What have you done in those 2 games? You've been poor, shocking. Giving the ball away like it's a grenade launcher, bro. Like it's terrible. And again, this is the captain. This is the leader, and he's just not a good influence on the team. And for most parts of the game, it's like, okay, in a game like this, maybe you'd see him get on the ball more, but he wasn't even involved in the game as much. Like when he was involved, he would lose the ball. But it's like, come on, Bruno, you should be doing more. Even me, as somebody who doesn't rate you, you should be doing more in a game like this. And listen, again, I saw my club do a massive clear out, and I think it was for the better, even though, again, our recruitment strategy was poor. But you guys need a similar clear out. You absolutely need a similar clear out. And the first person that needs to be gone is this guy. He needs to be gone. Oh, yeah, and my rating, I'd give him a 1. And that's me being generous. You'd get a 1.
And I'm giving him a 2, and he's a whiny little bitch. That's also, he's a whiny little bit.
He does complain a lot, to be honest.
Way too much. And it's not good for a leader to be doing that. It's really not.
Anthony, I'm close to giving this guy
a 1. He's the first player.
No, there's only one player I'm reserving a 1 for, and he's coming up in a second.
No,
not in a
second. Was 1.
I like I said, Ahmad did more than Anthony did or has done. Probably.
Why is Ahmad not start?
He's just come back from an injury, so it's fine. He literally just come back from an injury.
Have you seen the training videos? Ahmad 1 visit, Anthony 1 visit, 1. You see the difference of quality. I was like, you see that in fucking training, and you that fucking dingus.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I assume Anthony was only because if Højlund was fit, I know for Anthony wouldn't have started. It probably would have been Rashford on the left and Garnacho on the right. Probably is what probably would have happened. But I think after Ahmad's performance, if situation again, I mean, to me personally, I'd drop both Rashford as Rashford has been dropped. I drop both Rashford and Anthony, and play Garnacho on the left and play Ahmad on the right. Or potentially Palestri, but for some reason Ten Hag doesn't rate Palestri, and I don't know why. Because I think Palestri's okay. He's not amazing, but he's better than Anthony. Like almost every winger that we have at the club is better than Anthony. You can make a case that Mason Mount on the right might also be better than Anthony.
He would be.
He would be better than Anthony. That is a conversation. If you want to put Bruno and Mount into the same team, put Mount on the right. Okay, not Bruno on the right. I couldn't care less about Bruno on the right, but put Mount on the right at least. I'll give him a 2 because, like I said, there's a one player that for me is probably worse.
Yeah, just to say, I probably wouldn't have given him as low a rating. I mean, I get why you lot are frustrated with him, right? But like when I watch him, like again, I don't think he stinks. Like when I watch a Bruno performance can be very stinky, where it's a lot of ball losses and whatnot, right? With Anthony, it's like it doesn't stink. It's just nothing. It's just dormant. Like he doesn't do anything. It's like he's even afraid to almost give the ball away or try anything, or even like, okay, I have my wing, my fullback 1v1. Let me take him on or get down the line, but he just doesn't. He's just so one-dimensional, being obviously very one-footed, and he literally brings you nothing. I mean, he actually works relatively hard for a winger to track him back, but it's like that's literally it. Yeah. So it's just that's literally it, and it's wow. It's scary that you spend that much money on him. It's actually very scary.
And that's the thing. Like, I think if he'd been a cheap signing, cheap 30 mil signing, I don't think anyone would say anything. But I think, and to be fair, to Ten Hag and them, it wasn't Ten Hag's fault. The issue was that at the end of the day, Ajax needed a replacement for him. Manchester United, in typical fashion, didn't get the deal done early on in the season, tried to haggle a price, and at the end, they ended up paying more. Had they agreed the deal at the beginning of the transfer window, they probably would have spent maybe 60 mil, for example, maximum. Because Ten Hag desperately wanted him, and it was at the end of the transfer window where Ajax were like, well, you've got to give us money so we can get an adequate replacement. This is what happened. Almost there scoring. So Garnacho, he's still young. There was a few decisions running in space or not, but he did get the assist. You know, I'll give Garnacho a 5. I think that's fair. Yeah, 5. I think that's fair with Garnacho. Marcus Rashford. I don't know what's happened to Rashford this season, man. I don't know if he's playing with an injury. I know he's not been. I don't know. I've never seen Rashford this bad before, though. Like in previous seasons, like there was inconsistency, but like he'd score, he'd have some sort of pace, but like last season, I was like, okay, fair enough. He went on that run. You're thinking like, but this is like for the whole, he's been bad. Like I've never seen him this bad. Like he'll at least maybe give an assist or he'll at least score goals or like that. Like Rashford has maybe one. Was that his first goal for United this season in the Premier League?
He scored one other goal.
He scored against Arsenal. Sorry, that banger against Arsenal, which was in fire, which was good. I remember that goal. Yeah, we still lost, but that was a good goal. I remember. But so 2 goals. I don't think he scored any goals in the Champions League either.
2 goals all season. Wow. From 30 goals to that is quite crazy.
I think he has 3 actually.
Where was the third one? Was it a?
I think it would have been today.
What was the other goal other than Arsenal? What was the other goal he scored?
Oh, he scored against Everton.
Oh, the penalty. The penalty. Yes.
Yes. He gave the penalty. Oh well, yes. Okay, the penalty. I can change it to open play. You know. So sorry.
Cannot claim that goal. He cannot.
I mean, I'll give it to you, SK, because you just come in like SK. What would you, if you watched the game, what would you rate Rashford's performance here?
Well, I didn't watch the game. I did watch the highlights though.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say just based off of the highlights, like for me, like holistically, it seems like your team is just too old. Like what's the average age of your squad, or at least if you're starting 11?
It's probably still mid-20s. McTominay is 28. Rashford is 5, 6. Garnacho is like what, 18, 19.
Other than the centre backs, it's not that old of a team. Centre backs, Bruno's in his prime, of course.
Maybe Eriksen is 30.
And Eriksen too, but the fullbacks are pretty young. Onana's middle-aged for a goalkeeper. You got youngsters on either wing. And
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. And the reason I brought that up is because I don't know, like from what I saw today in those highlights, it just seemed like you guys couldn't run to save your lives. Like especially the defending for that first goal was truly atrocious because like it was like all Forrest had to do was like simple 1-2 passes like that I would do on FIFA to get into your box.
Yeah, they were open in transition. That was definitely a big problem. Again, that's tactical as well because you took off your natural DM in Maino and you brought on McTominay. And that, again, opened you up, which is, again, poor from the manager.
And I think it was actually McTominay that made the mistake that, like, had the defensive collapse. He tried to go for a pass in the Belgian Forces goal, and he missed. And that pretty much, like, left Dalot on an island. And then, like, I think Forces, like, ended up putting in a pass, and none of the United defenders were, like...
Okay. Sorry, so I mean to interrupt. Apparently, Ten Hag has explained why he took Manu off. So he said, when asked why substituting McTominay, says he played the third game in a row in this week. That's tough where he's coming from. Erik said about 18 Kobe. I thought the energy was a little bit lower than the other 2 games this week. Therefore, we brought some new energy in.
Oh my God.
That's poor in game management. Very poor in game management.
Have you the brick? Do you have a brick to drop?
I wish I'm going to have some. I have some sort of a brick. I'm going to create some. I don't know how HH does it, but I'm going to find some sort of brick thing or something. So I need something. Well, the way United are playing, I'm going to need some sort of gift like that, because I wanted to drop at least 3. What has he said here? It's okay. Ten Hag was pleased with the vitality Scott McTominay was able to add to the team after his introduction 11 of his week. Even have did not pan. I don't regret the substitution. I thought Scott, he brought energy. I think second half was much better from our side. Right, but we conceded 2 goals in the second half, Ten Hag. I think the first goal, when you analyze it, good. It went down the sides, nothing to do with central midfielder there. The second goal was a counter-attack where I think it was a miscommunication. We had enough players. The second...
Yeah, the second goal, I would say, was... Because I think what happened was that, like, Wan-Bissaka didn't end up, like, taking the man that scored, because he was trying to get the person on the far side of the cross if a Forest player put it in. But then 2 players went to intercept the pass, and then 2 players went to intercept one of the Forest players in the box, and it just left Gibbs White completely open for a shot. So you definitely had you had like 5 players back, so you definitely had enough that that goal really.
Oh yeah, there was definitely enough. But again, it's like, why is Gibbs White again by himself? You're right, because 2 players. And one of those players happened to be a certain McTominay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at, like, is it the decision making to come across and help? And I don't know.
Well, I mean, because sometimes it's just about like risk assessment. Because because if you look at the goal again, I understand what McTominay was trying to do. He wanted to help cut off that passing lane. But it's one of those things where if you're an out and out DM, you probably have the thought process of, hey, like, I need to be the cover, right? Because I have to trust that my fullback can hold the line, hold the width by himself.
And also, I would say is that if you want to cut out the cross, you also think, like, who's he crossing to? Who's he passing to? If everyone is back and is basically at least marking that their men, or at least is in a good position to do so, then there's no problem.
Yeah,
you don't need another man to be there, because you trust, as you said, that even if he misses that, at least everyone will at the very least be there to intercept a potential cross. But in this case, I've just seen too many goals conceded by Manchester United where we're counter-attacked. There's no one, and there is always someone free in that position, and it's usually either McTominay or Bruno or Redson, whoever is in that midfield that isn't doing their job. So that for me is all I'll say from that, reading that statement, is that Ten Hag, ultimately you cost us for 3 points. Because I get it when you say he's not played it, but what I don't understand is why he made that substitution at the end of the first half.
Because, like, what was the first half like? Like, was it just?
No, I don't think. I would argue that Nottingham Forest didn't create. I'm not saying that we were amazing, but Forest didn't create much in the first half. Like, if you're going to do that, at least play him for 10 more minutes. And then if we concede because he's not got the energy, then fine, bring McTominay on. I get it. But the reality is that as soon as McTominay came on, we were conceding more chances, way more chances than we were when McTominay was on. So I don't understand.
Well, just like looking, I guess, like at the stats of your first half, I think what Ten Hag was probably trying to go for is, because you guys only had like 1 shot in that entire first half. You had like an XG of like 0.04. So I think maybe he thought that, I don't know, you guys would be good enough offensively or good enough with the ball to...
I think it's clear, like, I get what you're saying. Like, it's clear what Ten Hag wanted to do, because, like, McTominay, for all his flaws, is a match winner. Like, he can win you games. He's thinking, okay, there's nothing much in this game. It might only be a 1 kind of goal game. You can come on and get the winner, but putting him on lost all control of the game, because mainly when Eriksen, while it wasn't a great first half, it was a very boring first half. Honestly, you didn't miss anything watching it. Not watching it, rather, should I say. But it's like, nothing happened, but at least there was a semblance of, okay, we're in the game, nothing's happening here, but we're not conceding loads of chances. But as soon as you brought on McTominay, obviously we know he likes to bomb on. Bruno didn't adjust his position, so it was still just kind of the same that he was bombing on as well. And you just have Eriksen there, who obviously, as we know, has never had the legs to cover a midfield by himself. Like by himself. So it's criminal that he did that. And there wasn't any like, okay, I'm gonna bring on McTominay for legs, cool, but I'm gonna adjust the formation in a way that, okay, Bruno's a bit more deeper, or the wingers tuck in a little bit more. Just that there's a bit just extra cover, because you know McTominay's gonna do that. Or you tell McTominay, okay, I'm bringing you on, but you're in just as a DM. You need to be disciplined.
Well, no,
Maybe last 10 minutes you can bomb on, but you can't bomb on all the time, which is what he did.
Because what I would say too is, right, like, because in the second half, I think United had an XG of like 0.7. They had like 9 shots, and ironically enough, the only 2 shots Forrest had are the 2 shots that went in. So, like, I would say, what is it? Just like the personnel, maybe, like, because like if you're only conceding like 2 shots in one half, then in theory you should not be hitting like scored on twice from that. It should take more.
But they were very high quality chances that you gave away, and then obviously United gave them away as based on how the game was going. It wasn't like a smash and grab. And then obviously Red will tell you, Samasi will tell you. Obviously, I can tell you because we watched the game in forward. It felt like the chances were coming for us because United were so open in transition, and there were other chances that Forrest had that it just didn't end up in shots. So they won't end up on the XG, but they were moments that Forrest had.
Forrest would like put in like a good cross or something, and everyone would like kind of miss it.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like Forrest were peppering United. Like, oh my goodness, they were dominating and stuff like that. But I think that the key thing with Forrest is that, like, at least I think anyway, as soon as McTominay came off, Forrest had more, Forrest started to begin to create more and started to appear much more dangerous. And at the end of the day, so it was like, but United was still not creating anything.
Yeah.
So
okay. I just want to see, like, was it like, for example, like that the last 15 minutes of that Chelsea game today, where like it was just like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is this all so chaotic all of a sudden, kind of thing? Or if it was just like
No, it wasn't like that. I mean, to explain it best, right? Like, it wasn't like wave after wave of attack, right? Because again, the first half, almost nothing happened. There was hardly any chances for either team.
Yeah.
And obviously for United in the second half, they had a bit more, right? The Dalot chance was probably the best chance you created, right? In the game, you hit the post from 20 yards. But other than that, you didn't really create many good chances in the game. Like, even the goal that you scored comes from a mistake. The Rashford back heel that you had opportunity to like find either Bruno or Garnacho, which was another big chance United had, that also came from a Forrest mistake. So again, bringing on McTominay didn't really improve you much offensively, and defensively, bringing in McTominay on let you concede in big quality chances that Forrest were clinical and took. So that's why it's poor management from Ten Hag, because the change that you made United worse. It made you more open, and it didn't improve you offensively.
This whole idea of playing with only one single pivot and in the single pivot having no legs makes no sense. I don't think United should play with
foolish.
With the person
play double six. Play double six.
No, with the personnel United have, like, if fair enough, if United had peak Casemiro, then I think okay, maybe, and you had some good passes of the ball, then maybe. But they don't have that, and they don't have any play. Mainu could potentially be that in years' time, but right now he's just a young kid. He can't play this but just alone by himself. So, it's suicide for Ten Hag to constantly, because he get punished all the time, where he persists with a single pivot and hopes that McTominay will just. If you're going to play Scott McTominay, then you have to take off either Bruno, or one of the forwards and just have him up there. But you can't keep on bringing in McTominay and hoping that you will try and go on and win a game and sacrifice the control of the midfield to do so, because it happens so many times. But anyway, let's quickly just finish the rest of the player ratings. Rashford, so I think Rashford was what? I'll be giving Rashford a 3. McTominay is a 1. Does anyone disagree with me?
Oh, of course not. No, he was awful. Like, offered nothing, hardly in the game anyways. And obviously didn't pop up with his goal to make his performance better. So 100% a 1.
He didn't deserve 1. He deserved a 0.
I wish there was a 0 option here, Samasi. Unfortunately, there's not. With Ahmad, when he came on, for me, I'll give Ahmad a 6. That's why I said to Ahmad, for me, did more in 45 minutes than Ante has done in goodness knows how many games. And actually, I've just realized that he might. I don't know. Did he get called up for the? He must have called up for Ivory Coast. He must have been. Let me check. Was he called up? Is it? Yeah, because he's like by his Ivory Coast. Did they? Because they announced the squad. Speaking of which, I'll just as a preemptive as a Nigerian. Nigeria finishing bottom of their group. I just want to put that out there right now. Like,
is this a jinx, are you being serious?
I saw that squad and I was like, I didn't.
What does the squad look like?
The squad, okay, so SK, the squad looks like Ahmed Musa is still playing football in 2023. That's what the squad looks like at SK. That's what
it's not pretty.
It's the it's this team might not qualify. That's what it looks like, man. It's scary hours. That's all I can say. Is Ahmad in it? I wonder, is he?
I mean, while you search up, just to say, again, Ahmed's he's got something about him, innit? He's got the ability to take on players. And again, one thing that United lack is natural ball carriers.
Yes.
You really don't have that in midfield, in defense. Garnacho can carry the ball, but he's obviously very erratic, very, very raw as a player.
Ooh, I don't see him. Listen, maybe it might be because
maybe you caught life. Yeah, you might have caught life on that.
He just came back from injury. I think that's probably why. He's literally just come back from injury, so he's not played basically all season. So I guess it would be a bit unfair to him to come to. And
to be fair, Ivory Coast, they do have quite a few wingers anyway, so they're not like one of these other African countries that are like, oh, any good player we have to bring in. Like they have actually got some pretty good depth, to be fair.
Exactly.
So that is good for you because you do need him. And again, this is where if Ten Hag stays around, is he going to reward that performance, or is he going to do the thing that frustrates us a lot as fans? Where a manager will just persist with the same old crap that's not been performing the whole season. But with Ahmad, it's a breath of fresh air. And normally we see youngsters in these kind of positions, they end up going on a little decent run. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a legend at United, but for now, I think he is your best option on the wing, and he will provide something that Anthony hasn't provided. That again, Pelestri, I don't think he's provided much either as well. And all your other wingers, to be honest. Again, Garnacho is getting you goals, but again, I didn't really talk on Garnacho's performance, right? But again, you think you gave him a 5, and to be fair, the assist he did very well for that. I'll give him credit because of the good interception. He picked up Rashford. It was a good ball into him, and obviously Rashford tucked it away. But Garnacho's overall performance over 90 minutes is quite spooky, if I'm honest. Like it's not been great of recent. Even the 2 goals against Villa, credit to you for getting the 2 goals, and even the offside goal. So he is being an impact in the game, and again, you have to give a youngster credit for that. But doesn't like his overall play, link up, ability to drive 1v1, decision making. Can he actually service a striker in terms of getting crosses in? All of these things he really does lack, and he needs to sharpen up a lot of these things because, again, he is young, but he's also got a lot of expectations on his shoulders, got a new contract as well to start the season. And he is kind of a big player for you lot now, given where you lot are in the table and in just as a club right now. He's a big player for you lot, and he leaves a lot to be desired in his overall play. And I don't know how he's going to develop, to be honest. I don't really know of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a. Sorry, I think is it NK is in the back. I'll try and bring you in a second, buddy. Like at the end of the day, like a lot of these things are context because again, he's a young player. I have a lot. I have empathy for I'm not going to go hard on on young players. I'm assuming it's like the same with Chelsea. You don't expect young player. You shouldn't be expecting young players to be carrying the team. Garnacho, Mainu, Amman, etc. These young players shouldn't be the ones that should be carrying Manchester United. I'm sure even as a Chelsea fan, like you expect more, for example, more from say a Sterling than you do from a Madueke, let's say.
Yeah.
So I expect more from Rashford. When we know that young players go from the inconsistency, I expect Rashford to step up, given his experience, than Garnacho does. So the fact that's the inverse, that Garnacho is the one that's keeping Rashford to hold bench when he's available,
or moving to the right,
and moving is crazy.
I agree.
Also, I have a question because I'm looking at the table right now. I didn't realize
this season.
Sorry, one sec. SK, go on. One second, go on.
I didn't realize just how bad your attack is. Jesus Christ, you guys are 17th in terms of goals scored.
Yeah.
What is going on? Like
it's not pretty.
Like, because I'm looking.
What's going on is that you're relying on a 19-year-old, despite whatever his costs. You're relying on a 19-year-old from Atalanta to lead your line with no senior backup, which I imagine Ten Hag wants in the summer. So I think the original plan was to get a senior striker and Højlund, not just Højlund. Obviously, the Greenwood situation, enough said, because let's keep it a stack. I'm not saying he should come back, but what I'm saying is that, like, he's even though he's been out, he's probably United's best forward. If he 100%. Were to come back, he would be. And I assume 100%. That Ten Hag anticipated that he was going to be able to use him, and now it does not happen. So you're down that. You're down a striker. You're down, obviously, another winger and the man who should be named. And then obviously, your one of your most consistent players in Rashford is awful, and that's where you are. That's the situation in the attack. That's where we are.
I mean, funny enough, like looking at you guys' stats for last year, seems like your attack wasn't that good to begin with. Because even last year, you guys only got like 58 goals, which for a team that finishes third is really, really low.
No, that was the defense was the big reason why United, and I said this several times, the defense was the big reason why United finished where they were. The back five clicked. This year, the back five, for obvious reasons, has not clicked. Whether that's because of Onana, whether that's because of injuries, it hasn't. So a lot of people, a lot of United fans, put a lot of undue criticism on the defense and Onana because they're so like, oh yeah, defensive were good and we're better, but they, as you said, it seems to completely oblivious to the fact that the attack has been dead for
because the last time you guys have gone over 60 goals was 2021. So that last all year you guys got like 57. Last year you guys got 58. This year you guys are on pace for like 40.
Exactly. The attack in the last 3 years has been, obviously the first season with Ronaldo was fine, but after that, it's not been good. It's not been good. It's not been good.
I mean, it was only Rashford last season that was really producing big numbers, and now he's fallen off a cliff. It was never going to be great because nobody else has stepped up. So
exactly,
it was going to be a big issue.
You had Ronaldo, who was obviously on the decline, and then he left in January, and then the other 9 option was Wout Weghorst, and you got into the summer, and the replacement for Wout Weghorst and Ronaldo and Cavani, number 9s, is a 19-year-old Højlund, who I think can potentially come good. But for me, he shouldn't be a senior striker. He shouldn't be he shouldn't be the senior striker. That's too much pressure for him. So
100%.
So regular.
The fact that my bum ass club lost to you guys is disgusting, bro.
Chelsea. Oh no, I mean, come on.
That was ironic, right? Because I've actually watched a lot of United this season, and I was so confident going into that because I think before that game, because before that game, tell me what was your. Tell me this, right, Red? Like before Chelsea, did you have any performance where you thought, for 90 minutes we were very good?
I wasn't confident until I saw the lineup and I saw that Conor Gallagher wasn't playing. And the thing is that, like, at that point, Conor Gallagher, for me, I don't know why HH hates the guy. I've got no idea, because to me, he's been Chelsea's most consistent midfield in terms of quality. So when I saw that he wasn't playing, I was like, and when I saw our lineup, where I think we played, was it Amrabat? Did we play?
It was Amrabat and McTominay behind Bruno,
and then Bruno. So I was like, okay, we have at least an Amrabat who's a number 6 that's there, that's somewhat competent
and physical.
Somebody's there, so that'll rough up the homeless. I think that'll probably give Enzo a problem. And Enzo, well, I think a conversation needs to be had about Enzo. And this is a United channel, so I'm not going to go into it. It can be had
for sure. But all I'll just say is that, like, before that game, though, like, what performances did you have that were very good over 90 minutes? You didn't have any. And that's why looking at it, it's like, oh, we might have a chance here because we've been poor, but the difference between us, right, is like we've actually had games where we played really well, but just the final third has not been clicking. Like, again, I do feel some sympathy for Højlund because you don't create many chances for him, but for us, it's the opposite. Nico Jackson gets plenty of chances and wastes plenty of chances, right? And again, for us, like, again, our XG in terms of goals, like, if you tally our XG for goals expected and then goals conceded over the season, Right now, if it was like fair game in terms of like XG, we would actually be 5th in the table in terms of like how much we create versus how much we concede. Obviously, right now we're 10th. Whereas for United, you guys were 14th. You guys right now are 14th in terms of like how much goals you're expected to score and how much you're expected to concede. So that tells you guys are underperforming a lot, just in general as a team. Like you're not playing great football as a team. Whereas for us, we play quite a lot of good football at times, but of course, we make silly errors at the back, like you saw it in the game against you lot, and we missed chances. We missed hella chances against you lot, even though you lot absolutely blamed us. That was the worst performance we've had, and the best any team has looked against us for sure, no doubt. You blamed us, but how many times have you been able to recreate that over the season? Because again, that's how you actually say, as a manager, I'm doing my job because my team are actually playing well. And okay, today we were unlucky, or this happened against us, VAR, whatever. But in terms of like performances, there's not been any consistency to say that, we played good against this team and against that team. From what I've seen, because again, you lot can maybe correct me because you might have seen United more, but at a top level, whenever United played like a great game this season, other than Chelsea, you played great against us, fair play. But other than that, who else did you play really good against and got a great result? I don't really remember any, to be honest.
I don't know. The only performances were in the Champions League, and we botched them due to individual mistakes. So we had a great game against. To be honest, we played well against Copenhagen and Galatasaray away. We pimp slapped those guys until individual mistakes, i.e., Rashford red card, and then Onana mistakes, stuff like that. But in the Champions League, like we should be through to the next round of the Champions League.
You should
with the way that we played. The reason why we're out of the Champions League is because of individual mistakes, not because I feel that United played badly. Because we should have beaten Copenhagen and Galatasaray away comfortably. We're 2-0 ahead in both games and boiled it because of poor individual mistakes. Even the Bayern game, the first 30 minutes, I would argue we outplayed Bayern Munich, and then obviously Onana made the mistake and we capitulated. I think that's the issue with United, is that United this season, I don't know if it's a mentality thing, I don't know, but they have the potential to play really well. The issue is that when we concede, we're mentally fragile, we mentally capitulate. And I think that's similar to Chelsea as well. And it's just a question of I don't know whether that's lack of leadership, lack of seniority, lack of direction. I've got no idea. The manager, who knows? I've got no idea. But at the end of the day, I think the thing is that it's like you just don't know what team is going to turn up. Like the thing with Chelsea is that I agree with you. I think that Chelsea have no chances, but what I would say is that is that Chelsea, and that this is probably the manager, is that the game management of Chelsea, from what I've seen, has been poor,
very poor. Again, just to add the stat to that, by the way, is that in the entire league, we are the only team that's never been losing at halftime. Never been losing at halftime in any single game, and yet we're 10th because second half, whether in terms of substitutions or the halftime team talk or just adapting mid-game to the flow, Poch has almost always got it wrong. Almost always got it wrong.
Yeah, that for me is what I'm saying is my take on Chelsea, is that the game manager in Chelsea is just, and like I said, that's probably on the coach, the manager. Chelsea have also had their injuries. They obviously don't have a striker, which causes problems, so there's distractions. Astrid Wet, with Nicky J, so
what's funny?
Apparently now I saw the picture. I saw the picture of her with Palmer, man. I was like,
this is crazy.
This is just.
No, but RDS, you know what is funny though? You know the man you guys actually shouldn't have got rid of, to be honest.
Fred, I know.
No, Fred is, well, to be fair, I actually do like Fred as a player, but that's not the point. Rangnick, I think honestly would have improved you guys as your sporting director, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
I think he was meant to be an advisor, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Ten Hag, when I remember when he showed up at your club, he said verbatim that he wants to control like the flow of the transfers and the scouting and all that, right? That was like one of the conditions he wanted to join Man United.
I mean, he said, from what Ten Hag said it was 50-50 between him and between, was it Mertz, whoever it was. But at the end of the day, the thing is, I'm not going to go completely on to, because to be quite frank, over the last 10 years, I can't think of many successful Manchester United signings under multiple managers. When I look at which managers have signed, I'm like, okay, this was the guy. You know, okay, Pogba, you know, but he was Mourinho signing, but was underutilized. But outside of that, okay, yeah, when Oli signed Bruno for the first season, he had an impact. But again, what happened after that? So there's not really any real players I can think of. I can pick, right, okay, this guy, this man signs, but this is the one for the ages. Rashford was an academy player. You know, what are the signs that I could think of that were like, right, this signing, this is a solid signing for us, and it's been solid for Manchester United. I can't think of any.
Really. Probably the best.
Johnny Evans, Red Devil.
Johnny Evans this season.
Wasn't he an academy? Wasn't he an academy player?
Johnny Evans is an academy player, yeah. Johnny Evans is academy. So I don't really count Johnny Evans per se.
Like, I would probably say like Eddie Herrera was probably your best.
Academy, so
Listen,
Eddie Herrera was probably your best like signing under the parameters that you're saying.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, is that NK? So NK, go on. So you haven't spoken, so go on.
Good evening, guys. I want to say like the vid, support the channel. It's been a while, Red Devil. I hope you're well. Regardless of the result. And to the panel, I've spoken to you guys on other streams, but I hope you guys are good. Listen, I'm gonna be Red Devil. I'm gonna come with peace. Today, I'm gonna come with peace today, right?
Okay.
Because I've been watching United for a while, right? I've got a lot of friends that support United, so obviously I'm a Chelsea fan, but I've been keeping my head down, you know, studying United because it sounds bad, but you're the team that I'm looking at as the barometer right now. And it's just the inconsistency, right? Which is what the fans are probably most upset about, as well as some of the decisions. I think if we're isolating down to this game, I'm sorry if you've covered this, so I'm just going to keep it quick. Scott McTominay, as a midfielder, not as an attacking player, just as, you know, the job of a midfielder, I think United fans have been knowing that this guy can't fulfill that role, unfortunately. And I think it's the case of, because I like Kobe Manu. I think that kid's really talented. I get what you were saying before in terms of you shouldn't be. He can't carry United, but he could definitely be relied upon, in my opinion. Even though the kid's just broken through, I fully believe I'm one of the people that fully believes that if you're good enough, it doesn't matter how old you are. With him, I believe he has the ability, at least on the ball, to contribute to United's success. But Ten Hag taking off McTominay, I think, changed the game. And taking off Manu, for McTominay, I think effectively changed the game. And you know, you could go on about the decisions that the United board / Ten Hag have made, and that's in of a stream of itself. But I'm just looking about in terms of what can Ten Hag do to keep this job realistically, because obviously we've been through a new ownership, so you know, Tuchel at the time was a bit, like, obviously he's making all these guys look like shame, right? Poch, Lampard, Potter, but obviously new ownership comes in, they might change the vibe and stuff. I just have a question. What do you think Ten Hag can do, right, to improve results generally?
I think
because obviously the injuries are obviously a part of the game, and it's unfortunate, right? So that's just my question to you that I want to know.
I legit think he's relying on injuries coming back. I legit think because obviously as soon as Lisandro comes back, he's coming back into defense. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
because he's just trouble. So that's it. So the defense is coming back in, and then I would imagine if Casemiro comes back, McTominay's. I would imagine if Casemiro is holding bench, and I imagine he'll be playing Casemiro with Manu or Casemiro. At worst, he'll be playing Casemiro with McTominay, but I suspect he'll probably. I think Manu's looks like he's done enough that he trusts Manu more, and that he will play Manu with Casemiro. So at the very least, if he does do that with Casemiro coming, plays Manu with Casemiro, then at least I'm thinking, right, okay, we've got some stability in the midfield. You know, Casemiro actually contributed to quite a lot of our goals last season as well, and is a good passer of the ball. So if he plays Manu Casemiro, then I at least think, okay, and you can put in Bruno X and whatever, I can at least think that the midfield will at least look more stable, secure, or not overrun. and then on top of that, you've got Lisandro, who's a ball playing defender, and so suddenly the back six looks better. Now that said, the issue still is the attack. So right now, I don't know what he can do about the attack. I really don't. I mean, unless Ahmad starts playing Ahmad and Ahmad does something, I legit don't know what he can do about the attack. So I would imagine that he's going to be speaking to Ineos and be like, bro, we need a striker. And I think he's alluded to it. He said, we need a striker. We need a striker in January. We need a striker. We need a striker.
Do you believe that should be number one on the priority list? Okay, then. Yeah.
Striker should definitely be number one, because at the end
over
of the day,
like a ball progressor, like someone to progress the ball from the midfield. Because like the reason I'm gonna challenge you on this a little bit is because like if you guys are only like managing like such little goals as we went over, like I don't think a good striker is gonna fix that if you're not making chances or if you're not able to progress the ball into the final third or anything like that.
I don't disagree, but what I would say is two things. One is the availability. Oops, sorry, what's going on with my thing? Is crashed. 1 second. What's going on? Sorry about that. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
we can still hear you, bro.
Well, yeah, I don't know what happened there. You're right to a certain extent, but the two things I would say is that one, what type of what player like that is available effectively in January for a reasonable sum, or at least a loan? I don't know of many, if any, is the first thing. And the second thing is that I just think that Manchester United lack a lot of we as I think Atoman has even said, you're right. We don't create enough chances for a striker. I don't disagree with that. But I also think that it is unfair to expect a 19-year-old in Rasmus Højlund to basically carry the Manchester United attack single-handedly. And if he's not available, if he's not fit, or if it doesn't work, then your default option is basically to use Rashford, who's not a striker. It just doesn't work for me. I mean, even whatever you say about Wout Weghorst, United still still created more chances and still look better attacking wise with Wout Weghorst in the number 9 and with Rashford on the left and doing whatever than they do now currently. So in an ideal world, I'd want 2, but I just think that with just in terms of the availability in the January transfer window, the cost, and also the personnel, I just think a striker is probably more of my ideal striker would have always been Harry Kane, because Harry Kane could have done both of the things that you just said. But obviously Harry Kane has gone to Bayern Munich, so we can't have that. So it is what it is.
Shout out to the Hurricane. Shout out to the Hurricane.
Just one question that I have as well, just regarding the topic of strikers, right? Let's say Højlund is fit for Spurs. It's obviously a big game coming up. Would you start him up front? Because I'll be honest, Rashford up front today was poor. He scored, but he was awful.
Oh yeah.
Spurs coming to OT. For me, I feel like that's a game that actually suits Rashford. I think of Rashford from last season when he scored all those goals. Most of that came from him playing up front and getting in grid spaces in transition. Sometimes obviously at left wing, of course, but a lot of it came from him playing up front, playing on the last line and just getting goals in behind high lines. And Spurs will play a high line.
I would I would still play Højlund at 9, but I would play Rashford on the left and Garnacho on the right and see what happens. That's what I would do.
I hear that. And one thing just to add as well, I feel like you guys haven't actually played. You've only played 2 up front in one game that I've seen, and that was Brighton. And to be fair, Brighton at that time were in really good form. They popped great ball, and obviously with the way that they build up their box with their two centre backs and then their 2 midfielders, it's kind of difficult for any 2 striker team to really get them in it. So they kind of outdid you there. But I feel like if you work on it, because you've not really had success with your wingers this season. Garnacho's coming to a little bit of form, fair enough, but Anthony was poor. Garnacho's been up and down. He's been all right recent, of course. Sancho's in the gulag. Palestri, is he really at the level? Diallo's been injured up until now, right? I feel like you could have built a system where you play 2 up front. Obviously, Bruno's going to always have to play because he's your captain, right? Even though I don't rate him. But you're going to maybe play him behind the 2 strikers and you find a different way of getting the best out of a Højlund and a Rashford because they can both play up front as long as they're not the focal point by themselves. Because Højlund, for Atalanta, there are times where he was playing off the wing. Like, so he's a striker where, like, yes, he can be a physical 9 and back into defenders and whatnot, but really he wants to be running at the player, not really playing back to goal. And if you play him in a 2, then he has that support. So I feel like that's something that Ten Hag could have experimented on, which is why I'm like, listen, Ten Hag has to go because what has he done to actually try and change your fortunes? Not very much, in my opinion, of a squad that, yes, has its limitations for sure, but we can get better out of this team because we've seen it get third last season. We've seen what happens when some of these players get a new manager bounce of an Oli or whoever it is, and things happen. Even under Rangnick, there was a little bit of a bounce of Rangnick, and things change, and it looked decent with that 4-2-2 that you played. So I feel like it doesn't need to be a big name or anything, but if you get an interim manager and you can just see it out, you can see something different. If maybe there's a change in formation, certainly a change in philosophy and how you approach games. Because right now there's no philosophy, there's no styles of play, there's no patterns. It's very mundane football, and it won't get you anywhere, to be honest.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know who would come in, to be honest. That is the point, because like for Chelsea, right, when we had that happen back in the day, there was like a Hiddink, right, which is he's obviously who would be a perfect person for that kind of role. Somebody who's got a big name, he's managed at big clubs, and obviously again with us, he obviously had managed with us before. And like, let's say he was here in his 60s now, he would be a good option for you guys, but obviously he isn't. Again, in that kind of mold, I mean, there's a Heinkes, but obviously he's retired for a while. I don't think he'd want to come back to United at this point. But honestly, does it really need to be that big of a name? I mean, it needs to be a name that can obviously manage the personalities at United, right? But it just needs to be somebody that can give you something different, because right now I don't see how Ten Hag is going to change this around. Even with players coming back, it's still going to be a lot of the same football. Because again, why I say that is because just to end on that. Sorry, is that why I think it won't change much is because we saw it with, even in preseason, you guys weren't great. A lot of fans were saying that it wasn't great in preseason, and with Wolves, when you had your full team out there, Alessandro was poor, and I remember he was very poor. And you had your midfield of Casemiro, Mount, Fernandes, which is what Ten Hag wanted, and it looked like it wasn't going to work. So for me, I don't know how it gets any better even when players come back. Yes, the individual level might improve a bit, but the overall football this entire season hasn't been good. It just hasn't. I'll be honest, Ford. I think for stability's sake, they won't make any decisions till the end of the season because of all the stuff. Because remember, the context of this whole season a bit has been the takeover process, and that's why we've not heard any sorts of people talking about sackings. Like we've not heard anything from the Glazers or the current ownership at all about that. They're not even thinking about sacking Ten Hag. The fans may be, but they're not. There's not been, because usually even when there's murmurings about conversations, different things, or they'll put out a statement or something to say they're unhappy with the results, but they back, or they'll do something like that. They've not done that. They've not done that at all with Ten Hag. Nothing at all, and that tells me it's because all the talk of the focus has been around the takeover. That's been the priority, not what's happening on the pitch, not with Ten Hag. So when this whole thing is finalized in January with Sir Jim, they won't really be able to do anything right away, I think. So that's why I think that at the end of the day, any decision that's going to happen is probably going to happen at the end of the season, when Sir Jim has got his people that he's going to put on the board, whoever it is, the sporting directors, whoever they are, they've got their personnel in, and then they're going to say, okay, we've got our guys. Right, we now need to make a decision. Are we going to stay with this guy or not? That's what I think is going to happen. So,
but listen, I don't actually think you're wrong. In fact, I actually think you're right, to be honest, that they don't want to. But of course, every club has its breaking point. We saw it even with Chelsea, right? Like we saw it's a new Chelsea, right? Like what Potter did last season, he wouldn't have lasted that long under Abramovich, right? Bowley did give him every chance to look like we were going to get relegated, or maybe potentially could get relegated, and then he got sacked. I feel like I just wonder what that breaking point will be for Ten Hag, because obviously you've already crashed out of the Champions League, out of Europe completely.
Well, the thing is,
you could almost be 10th if we string a couple of wins together. So again, not there's anything to brag about, but if you're ending up in 10th, it's like, okay, from third going into the season could be potentially challenged for a league and maybe like be on the cusp of that. And now you're in 10th.
But Chelsea were like, I'm fairly sure Chelsea were around about 15th when Graham Potter was being sacked. Like it was like literally I'd be very, as inconsistent as Manchester United are. I don't think it's even with this team that they're going to finish in the top 10.
Yeah, you won't end up in 15th, but I'm asking. So you're saying the breaking point won't be even 10th if you're there, or even 11th. That won't be a breaking point. You don't think?
If it was, no, because it's halfway through the season already. The biggest thing, like I said, it's the takeover. You know, the Glazers, because who's going to be doing the sacking? It would be the Glazers. They don't care because they're focusing on getting the bread right now. And then post January be Ineos. But I just don't think the Ineos are going to make a decision right away when they don't necessarily have, so far anyway, the personnel or the right personnel they want yet. So that's why I think it makes more sense for them to be like, right, okay, once we've seen everything, we're going to do a thorough review from top to bottom, and then basically make a decision on bringing in our guys and doing it properly. And actually, I think that's the better way than say what Chelsea did, which was, you know, it would have been better for me had Bowley said, listen, we're going to sack Tuchel before the preseason because he's not our guy, whatever, and go with Potter and sign the players that he wants and go with him that way and do it that way, you know, and build on that and then have philosophy or whatever it is. And even if it doesn't work out, at least I know what you're doing, rather than kind of haphazardly sacking a manager halfway through a season, then getting someone in and then dealing with that complication and then finding someone else and then trying to build
100%. It's a merry-go-round, and that's never ideal for starting of any process. 100%. But that's why I say, could you not reach a situation where it's like it's a breaking point? Ten Hag making all of your players worse. The value of a lot of these players go down. Like, and we can probably do more with these players again. Again, unlike Chelsea with these young players, we've not really seen it. With United, we've seen you guys get third, win a Carabao Cup. We've seen better from these players. So I think, could you not want to get an interim? Not again commit, because if you were to commit to somebody mid-season at the start of the tenureship, that would be very spooky. If your guys came in and then got a new manager in mid-season and they said, "Oh, we're going to give him a 5-year contract," that would be a bit spooky, to be honest. But that's why I look at it and say, maybe if you literally see your house is on fire, you've got to do something to correct it, right? You might not want to rebuild straight away, but okay, I got to put the fire out, surely. So maybe they want to get interim from somewhere. I don't know who, of course, but I feel like that might be what could make your season a little bit better, because again, it's looking like it's going to peter into just being a mid-table thing. And for me, you have players absolutely better than that you can do much better. And for me, the manager, I haven't seen him do enough to say that he's getting anything out of this team, let alone something good.
I don't disagree with that. Oh, sorry, go on, yeah.
Oh, no. Also, I was just going to say, like, a little bit off topic, like, shout out to the Premier League, man. Like, the teams in this league in, like, the last 3 years are really annoying, because, like, even, like, the lower league teams are, like, so much better now. It's, like, ridiculous. And I think that kind of just, like...
It's the money, isn't it?
It's the money.
Exactly the money.
It's 100% the money.
But just kind of compounds the problem, because, like before, like, you know, in the earlier days, even when, like, Man United were, like, languishing, like, oh, like, we're still probably going to get like top 6, because, like, we don't really have anyone to really worry about outside of, like, the other top 6 clubs. And it's like nowadays you have, like, freaking West Ham buying, like, top Eredivisie talent and, like, top Bundesliga talent, and you have other clubs doing the same thing. It's like, and it's like, now if you really aren't getting your recruitment right, you really aren't getting your manager right, like, you're gonna pay for it even more so than normal. So
yeah, I mean, if you know, at the end of the day, last season, if you look at 3 tiers of European competition, England obviously won 2 of the trophies, the Champions League and the Conference League. And even though obviously Chelsea, Newcastle, and United aren't in it, I still think that the English clubs are favourites to win all 3 tiers of competition now. Like, I think City are probably, and they're not playing well, but City and Arsenal could obviously make a shot for the Champions League. Liverpool are probably going to win the Europa League. You know, Sevilla aren't in it, so Liverpool are probably going to win it. And then
West Ham are there as well.
West Ham are there as well, so you know they're going to do well. And quite frankly, Villa are looking chop and cheese ahead of us in the Conference League. You know what I mean? You know, so and that is all.
And you got Brighton there too.
Brighton in the Europa League, though, aren't they?
Yeah, in the Europa League, because they finished top of their group.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. To be fair, they topped their Europa League. That's actually impressive, to be fair.
Yeah, because West Ham are there because they won the Conference League.
Yeah, because they won the Conference League.
And then Brighton obviously were position, and then Liverpool were position as well. Yeah, so it's those three. Yeah, and then obviously that's the position. So, but so you never know. I mean, if Chelsea obviously win the Carabao Cup, that's their Conference League position. That's European football secured for them.
Why doesn't that get us to Europa League? Why is it
because I assume the FA Cup is the bigger trophy, right?
Yeah, they've changed it. Yeah, so FA Cup is Europa League, and then fifth spot Europa League. And then,
I don't really like Thursday Sunday football. I'll be honest.
It's if you win it, it's European football, man. Chelsea, going to Siberia or whatever it is to play some ball, man. Like it's
at the end of it, a trophy is a trophy.
Exactly.
100%.
I at least need Chelsea to overtake Arsenal in total club trophies. I don't care how they do it. So
need to make sure that Arsenal don't win the Champions League this season, man. Because low-key Arsenal, I'm not saying they're going to win it, but I mean,
if there was a time to do it, it's now, because the strength of Europe is not there. Italian teams are not really there. Spanish teams have fallen off a lot. Yes, Roma just still have their legacy and whatnot, and they could still do a thing, but they didn't replace Benzema. They got Bellingham now, but they didn't replace Benzema, so they're a bit weaker. Barcelona are very hit and miss. It's only really Bayern that could do something with Kane, but again, they're not even dominant in their own ends right now. Like Leverkusen are moving to them, so it's open Champions League outside of Man City, of course. It's an open Champions League.
Exactly. Let me just quickly give my overall rating. Ten Hag. I mean, give this guy a 3, man, because that substitution, in my opinion, cost us the game. In my personal opinion, so it is what it is. I'll quickly read a few comments, and then we're going to bounce, guys. Let's see, because we've got a few from different people, so I expect that. Let's have a degree. So I'll go to Josh here. So David T says Mount has done more in the medics room than on the pitch. Josh Warren says there's been too many games this year when the other team wants it more than the United Spurs. They've overpaid and don't care about the club one bit. But how many times are we saying that, bro? I agree with the fact that these performances continue. He will be sacked. But at a certain point when the players just need to put more work in. Yeah, but that's on the manager though. Like, this is what I'm like. I don't disagree with you, but at the end of the day, it's like we're saying this about every single. So the only thing that can happen is that the players leave. But at the end of the day, Ten Hag has signed 8 or so players at this point. Half of that squad that played has been brought in through him. So, Anthony is his signing. Eriksson is his signing.
What's funny? I just think managers don't have good talent ID. Like,
no,
they I don't think they do. Like, can you guys think of a top manager that actually consistently gets good transfers that they specifically seek and not just the sporting director?
No, I can't.
I mean, it's rare. Like, obviously, Pep, you could say it has, right? But no, you're right. To be fair, because even Klopp, at Liverpool, he was targeting Brandt to come in, and he was saying, "Oh, I didn't necessarily want Mane and Salah." So we saw what they did for them.
They work with a sporting director, so the sporting. I doubt that Pep Guardiola is the one that's scouting the guys in Argentina or something. There's the sporting director above them that's busy. That's with their scouts. That's busy eyeing out these things. So it's a combination of scouting network, your sporting director, and obviously the manager as well. And if the sporting director is Murta, then what can you do? Potts would get swallowed by the pressure at United. I think he's one of those managers that does what mid-tier clubs can have the control and think about the politics and chaos. It's fair enough. Get that clown Nagelsmann after he bottled with Germany. I don't know about Nagelsmann, man. I'm not sure.
Who do you want though? Let's say it is a clean slate in the summer. Is there anybody that is on the top of your wish list?
I can't think of it. I'll be honest, Ford. I can't think of anybody.
Can I just say quickly that I think Poch could be available next summer? Would you be interested by that?
The only one I can think of is maybe Xabi Alonso. Maybe.
Do you think Xabi Alonso would want this job?
He would not want the job though. That's the only thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying, so if I'm thinking of anyone up and coming, it'd be Xabi Alonso, or maybe Carlo. So
Carlo just signed a new contract.
Yeah, 2026.
So those are the only two that I can think of, because everyone else is is a risk. I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't know. John Riley says, face it, potentially. Face it, Manchester United are finished. Atom says, Sloop, big up to you, bro. Rob, the players have taken responsibility for the loss, but at the end of the day, the management of the team makes a change. So for me, it says it was losses too many. Exactly. I mean, I saw stats somewhere that said like Gary Neville had like 14 losses out of like 28, I think, for Valencia, and like Ten Hag this season has like 16 out of 28.
Yeah, it's scary.
So people say,
you don't
like,
draw.
You know, come on, you know, and people said Gary Neville was awful at Valencia, and we're saying that this is acceptable. Come on. Sair says, I'm surprised with all your problems at centre back. Dallo has been. We don't have problems at centre back. I don't think we have issues. I don't think the issue is at centre back. If I'm talking, I'm not saying we're single, but I don't think the issue at United and we're conceding goals has been at centre back position. It's not been that. It's been in midfield. You know, whatever you say about Evans is not the reason why we lost the game today.
I mean, Evans is actually a good defender, to be fair to him. Like,
I know
Evans is decent. Varane's good.
We're finishing 5th and 4th for no reason. So
yeah, he's the fit. He was brought in as a 5th choice centre back. For a 5th choice centre back, he is good. I can't complain of that. It's not his fault about the injuries and stuff like that. If Lizandro was fit, if Maguire was Lindell fit, he probably wouldn't be playing. But he's there and he's doing a job. You can't hate. Blade LB says sacking Ten Hag solves nothing. The players do not play for the manager, and we have way too much dead weight within the club as a whole. Let's have a few quick ones. That's where I have to go. We need a transfer window similar to 09-010 Real Madrid. That's not happening under this new system. If Qatar, maybe not now, unfortunately. Tapo says, I always used to use Asensio as a example in Madrid, where you kind of essentially a squad player, but not as a marquee player. Yeah, a lot of these players should be squad players. Next is Glory Man United on Twitch. Big up, man. Charlie says, good day. I've been raging today. It's like I have time when Scott made Everton's most stupid manager who wants to play the worst player in the league, only CDM. And obviously, Hamster says, big up RDS to Master Forward. I was having a stream close to avoid convenience smoke. I see you. I see you. No. I do want to go on. It's just that people forget I have my own channel. I have to react to these things. You know, so people, where are you hiding? I'm not hiding. I'm on my channel.
I mean, are you going to start doing more like broader football content, or are you just going to keep it United focused?
I mean, I'm trying to, but I'm only one guy, so and I'm a busy doctor, so I have limited time available at times. And on top of that, I'm posting content for my second channel, Red Marvel, which is a lot of entertainment, game sort of stuff like that with editing and things, which is nice to take my mind off football. So yeah, it's just the time.
And of course, you also got a third channel, which is where you're the Magpie Studios representative as well. So
I mean, there's no Magpie Studios channel, you know. So, but I mean, the Magpies aren't doing particularly well anyway. Like Newcastle are, it's not looking good. I'm looking for potentially January is next week, and the loan papers might have to come out.
No, loans are crazy.
I don't know.
Back your club, man. Back your club.
The loans. I can't watch this football, man. I don't know where I'm going to be loaned to though, because every team seems to be a bit like.
Bro, go to Bayer Leverkusen RDS. You know,
I might actually.
No, if you do that and then they like fall off their title charge, that would be hilarious.
I know, I might. I can't go to Bayern. I can't go to Real Madrid at this point, you know. So because there's too much at risk. So maybe Leverkusen, maybe.
Leverkusen Studios, yeah, I like that.
Scotty is at fault of both goals. He was way too slow, didn't bother try. Yeah, I mean, we're there. Yes, but they're the inferior team, so you wouldn't expect them to pepper you. Yeah, but I think it's more from the defensive point of view, you know, so that we're conceding chances defensively. We weren't. So like, you know, I wouldn't blame the defense in that respect. We played our strikers wingers. I mean, January is going to be peak. I genuinely think that I'm going to be doing 2 watch-alongs for Nigeria, and I think those are going to be the only 2 games I'm going to see for Nigeria at the AFCON, because I think there'll be 2 back-to-back L's, and Nigeria will be going home after the second game. So just watch the space. Just watch. I think we're playing one of the Guineas first. I think it might be Equatorial Guinea first. I could be wrong. Let me just check.
I mean, why you check it's just it's just the expectation expectation rather that kills us as Nigerian fans, because we see all our players, especially our strikers, doing well.
That's why I never have any expectations.
Exactly. There's no expectation now. There's no what expectation is there? Paul, did you see the squad?
I haven't actually seen the squad. I haven't seen the squad. I need to check the squad. But again, it comes from obviously rival fans, but even former players like Jonathan McKell, who says that going into the tournament, Nigeria is always our favourites, which again we shouldn't be.
We've only won this competition like twice. Like where are we even getting this?
But we are a big nation, and we do have a lot of good players. But again, why I say it's expectation that always kills us is because we never form a good team. It's never. I never see Nigeria go out there and it's like, oh, it's a great team. Even in the last AFCON where everyone was getting giddy over the first game against Egypt and whatnot, the rest of the group games were meaty. And then what do we go and do? We go and get embarrassed in the first knockout stage game. And it's the same story over and over. And of course, do I hope that, with a front three of Osimhen, Chukwueze and whoever, could it do something?
Ahmed Musa.
Why is that granddad there? Like,
I mean, the biggest issue from what it sounds like with the attack is there's no like playmaker. There's no one that's actually gonna like string any of these like chances together for the strikers. Like,
I mean, Iwobi should be that. To be fair,
we've got a playmaker. He's got SK. We know the playmaker we got. We've got Alex Iwobi. We've got Iwobi.
He's actually not that bad, to be fair to him.
He's a good player. I mean, I don't know why you said it like that. He's a decent player. No, amazing, but
it could
decent.
Be worse. It honestly could be worse. I won't lie.
Okay. It's fine. Okay.
But I'm not saying it's gonna be fine. I expect us to not be great again.
He's just better than that.
To be honest, the biggest issue for me is the keeper. Anyway, I've seen
we've been knowing this
times, and I know people are saying Onana is not good, but our goalkeeper is not. Is
it going to be the same one from the last AFCON, or have we changed it now?
It's this. What's his name? Is it he used to play for Sheriff, didn't he?
Wait, are you talking about the one that was like a fan, like a big Man United fan, like that one?
Yeah, exactly.
The light skin brother.
I think it's like Azoa. I think it's like
Azoa. Yeah. Francis Azoa. That's it. Azoa. Yeah, he's gone to Ammonia in Cyprus now, but he no, he didn't play for Sheriff. It was Ammonia. Yeah, it was Ammonia he played because we played them in the Europa League. Ammonia. I remember now, and he had like a brilliant performance against us for Manchester United when he kept it to 1-0 or something. Yeah, Azoa, Francis Azoa, or Bozoa, as I call him.
Yeah,
Bozoa. It's
all we can do is pray, brother. All we can do is pray. That's all we can do.
Right, guys. Let's want to thank you guys so much for being. Shout out to the panel. I see you, Don Smoke, as well. RD717 as well. Actually says Wenger is probably, bro. I mean, if Wenger wants to manage, I'd take Wenger back. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, Red Devil, what are you saying? If you're not that down bad, surely.
No. Wenger's better. Wenger. I low-key respect Wenger, man.
No, I respect him too, but you really want to drag him out of retirement to come and save you lot.
The dude's like 87, bro.
Come on,
let him rest in peace.
Bro. If he was able to manage, I said if he was able to manage, then I would take him. But like obviously, yeah, he's retired. He's gone.
Next year you're gonna say, let's bring back Sir Alex, bro. Come on, like what are we doing there?
United fans that you're talking about interim. Some people are saying like maybe make it as an interim, man. Bring Sir Alex, get him like 2 months.
Could you imagine?
Bring him up. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if Sir Alex Ferguson somehow managed to, if the unthinkable happened, he came back and he got United somehow to get top 4 and a trophy, i.e. the FA Cup, that already seals GOAT status for me.
No, Sir Alex is a funny guy because he left at the most perfect time, like possible.
Yeah,
for considering everything that's happened in the last 10 years.
I mean, he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to. It was his wife that kind of told him like, "You're too old to retire now."
And there's also this narrative that like it's his fault that you are where you are now. And I think it's more like the club didn't plan great in advance, and he did well with a declining squad to win the league again from Man City. Because that squad that won the league, like it wasn't the greatest squad on paper. Van Persie, Rooney were world class, sure, but other than that, it was a lot of declining players.
Yeah,
so he did well at that point, but you guys didn't rebuild.
United got 2 leagues after Ronaldo left is more on Sir Alex and more of a failure. And to be fair, I say it's a bigger indictment of Chelsea and City of that era than like
Yeah,
I really talked about, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Right, guys, we've got to bounce. It's been 2 hours. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks Ford. Thanks SK. Really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm sure I'll do something at some point in the new year, guys. Hope you had a good holidays. Happy New Year to those as well. Not to Manchester United, to be honest. But yeah, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Adele Sujo. Follow us on Twitter. You want to smash the notification button. If there is space, I will go on to Have Hope stream. But I'm to be honest, do you want me to be honest? It's difficult when he's saying that Palmer is equivalent to R9. That for me is.
I mean, audience, you have to understand. I mean, you're a YouTuber. You understand. You know, you gotta get those.
I know.
Engagement.
I mean, if we're honest though, like, how many goals in the Prem did R9 score? Like, if we're honest, like, let's just have these honest conversations, right? Like, come on.
Please.
Yeah, how many Champions Leagues did he?
How many trebles has R9 won?
Exactly.
Guys, please.
Come on.
It's like this is the stuff that makes me take issue with the Chelsea fan base, man. Like, it's like, okay, I get you big up your players, but you're comparing this guy to like arguably one of the best football strikers.
Like I said, bro, engagement tax. You know,
yeah.
Like
so when you're 10th, you got to get your kicks where you can.
You got to pay his bill somehow. Dude.
I know. It's just difficult sometimes, you know. It's
oh no, it is disgusting. I will lie. If I wasn't a Chelsea fan, I would hate Chelsea too. If I was an HH, if I watched HH, I wouldn't lie to you. But
you know, you're saying Madueke is like with Mario. I mean, like, you know,
arguably better, to be honest. But listen, we'll leave that for a Chelsea show, on it.
Right. On that note.
Yeah, exactly.
On that note, about take care, everyone. Take care, everyone. Peace.
In a bit, man. Love.